Bookcase and Coffee presents Buzzing About Romance, a quick shot of romance.
Hey everyone, this is Becky and welcome back to a quick shot of romance. With me this time is Heather, podcast contributor, Minnesota Hockey Mom. Hi Heather, how are you?
Good. Hi Becky, good. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm super excited that we are reviewing the book that we're reviewing. So we're reviewing for this episode The Marriage Contract by Katee Robert. This is book one in the O'Malley series. This is the story of Teague O'Malley and Callista Sheridan, otherwise known as Callie. These are two children of the three quote unquote families, Irish families of Boston. Our theme for October is the unexpected hero, the anti-hero, the dark hero, so to speak. And I believe that Teague O'Malley fits completely into this, but he's a surprise.
Oh, for sure. Totally. And here's the thing. I think that you had me read this because you've been only telling me for like the past year plus.
Yeah.
You should really read the O'Malley series. And I'm like, oh, it's on my TBR. It's on my TBR. And then you were like, no, girl, you're going to listen to it because we're doing a quick shot. I was like, perfect. And then now I have the entire series to read. So thank you so much, Becky.
And I'll be honest, and we can talk about this in the episode or as we get into this a little bit more, but Katee Robert is the first person that made me fall in love with an anti-hero. I always thought that I liked the good guy, the very charming, enchanting, swoony, good guy. Like those were my ultimate heroes. The Duke who helps the lady in trouble kind of thing. I always thought those were my heroes.
Yeah,
And then,
same. I was never a bad, like, you know how some girls, like growing up, they love the bad boys. They thought they were so great. That was never me.
yeah, I don't really have a thing for a bad boy. I married a nice guy, like the ultimate nice guy. So, the fact that an author can make me fall in love with an anti-hero, I think says something to the quality of this story.
I would agree. Since you and I both really like nice guys and we fell in love with these bad boys, then you know that it must be good. So,
They are so good. Okay, so read us the synopsis from Goodreads.
All right. So New York Times and USA Today best-selling author Katee Robert begins a smoking hot new series about the O'Malley family. Wealthy, powerful, dangerous, and seething with scandal. Teague O'Malley hates pretty much everything associated with his family's name. And when his father orders him to marry Callista Sheridan to create a business alliance, Teague's ready to tell his dad exactly where he can stuff his millions. But then Teague actually meets his new fiancée, sees the bruises on her neck and the fight still left in her big blue eyes, and vows he will do everything in his power to protect her. Everyone knows the O'Malleys have a dangerous reputation, but Callie wasn't aware just what that meant until she saw Teague, the embodiment of lethal grace, coiled power. His slightest touch sizzles through her. But the closer they get, the more trouble they're in, because Callie's keeping a dark secret, and what Teague doesn't know could get him killed.
So this was released June of 2015 by Forever Publication. And I want you all to remember this is a traditional published book because it matters. This won the Rita Award by Romance Writers of America nominee for Contemporary Romance Mid-Length in 2016. So I believe that this was Katee's first big award from this series. Tropes, mafia romance, anti-hero, arranged marriage. Are they enemies to lovers?
I would say like acquaintances, or maybe not. I think arranged marriage is probably the best.
Yeah.
Which I'm a sucker for an arranged marriage.
And this one totally fits the bill. Okay, so put out percentage on this book. So there's a pretty intense oral sex scene at 18%. There's a super hot mutual masturbation scene at 31%. And then there is P and V at 36%.
Yeah.
And
I mean, not
the
slow burn.
sexy is there. sexy is there. So I read this series in 2017 as it was slowly, like, she was still finishing up this series because this is a 5 or 6 book series, I think. 6.
Oh, what?
6 book. So let's just get into this. One of the things to note about this book is that this really sets the whole series up. The book itself does a lot of world building for the family and how it goes forward. It jumps around to multiple people's point of view, and it is told in third person. So not only do we see Callie's point of view and Teague's point of view, but we get Teague's sister's point of view a couple of times, and we get a couple of the enemies, the other families' point of views throughout the Hollerans.
Yeah, and so one of the things, and maybe it's because it was written, there isn't, it doesn't tell you on the page whose perspective it is, so you sort of have to figure it out. So like at first, when we were hearing it from Teague's sister's point of view, I was like, and then I'm like, oh, well, that's because it's not,
Right.
So,
it's a little different. So Callie, the book starts off with Callie killing her fiancé, the Holleran heir. This guy is not a good guy. He is like the son
Terrible.
of one of the, so the 3 families in play at this point are the O'Malleys, the Sheridans, and the Hollerans. He is the heir apparent to the Hollerans. And Callie murders him.
Yeah, and he was supposed to marry Callie, Callista, and he was avoiding talking to her. And she was like, dude, like, I would just like to have a conversation with you. So she has to like sneak into a strip club, and he doesn't recognize her and thinks she's a stripper.
Yeah, and puts hands on her and leaves marks and tries to rape her, and he she shoots him.
Not a good guy. Like,
and then she runs away.
Go Callie, like, basically.
Yeah.
Not that I condone killing, but it's a book, people.
Right. I mean, so let's talk about Callie as a character a little bit, because she's a pretty amazing character. She is tough and
For
smart.
Sure. So her brother, she was, not really involved in the family because she's a girl. And she had an older brother. Well, he passed away. So she's
in a car accident.
Not work related.
Not family related.
Right. So she sort of has taken this role on and is pretty close to her dad. I mean,
she is. And her dad is older. He is the oldest amongst the heads of these families. And she knows that it is just a matter of time before she is going to have to step into the leadership role. And one of the things she's working really hard to do is to bring the family into more legit business fronts, away from the bad, the drug, the, prostitution, the racketeering type stuff. Her family does not do anything in sex trafficking. That is a big piece for her. Like, that is not something their family's ever really done. And she wants to lead her family well, and she needs the respect of the men that are under her dad. And I think she has it.
Yeah, I do too. And I think Micah is the one that really kind of helps lead. He respects her, and Micah is like her bodyguard, who happens to be like her childhood best friend.
So let's talk about Teague O'Malley a little bit here, because
yes, let's do that.
So he is an anti-hero because he's a mafia guy and he's not doing some great things, but for a bad boy, he was super swoony.
For sure. And he also, I think he sees the questionable, and he's similar to Callie, where he wants to move his family more to the legitimate side of business. Like you said, he's working to get his MBA. he's not stupid. He's a smart person.
Yeah. Now, he is the second son of the O'Malley family. So within this marriage that's going to bring these two families together, even though Callie is the heir apparent of the Sheridan family, Teague is not the heir apparent of the O'Malleys. That is his brother Aiden. And we'll talk about the other children in this story. But he wants his family out of the underground business. I thought it was very interesting that he has an apartment away from the family that's his escape. Because all the children, even though they're grown-ass adults, all live still in the family home.
Yeah, and I mean, in reading other mafia books, it's pretty common for them to live like on the grounds of the family. And I'm sure that's like a security piece too.
Sure.
And even though, like you said, he's the second born, the older brother is more involved in the business. And Teague is more like the heart, like his siblings come to him, and he worries and carries a lot of the weight of his siblings' unhappiness on his shoulders.
He does. And he is a worrier. He is totally worrying about his siblings and the choices. And every step he makes, he keeps saying, I need to get them out. I want them out. I want them away from this. He is constantly worrying about, because of the death of the Holleran heir, the families have gone to war. They've declared war on each other. And the next born son in the Holleran family actually is Teague's friend from his college days. They used to be poker buddies, and now their families are at war, and it's messy. People are dying. Teague takes several beatings and is shot a couple of times, I think. Twice.
Well, and so not only does he have to worry about his siblings, and there's a good number of O'Malleys, but then he kind of just takes on worrying about Callie, because like as much as maybe he doesn't want to get married, he still cares and doesn't want anything to happen to her either.
Yeah. So there's this tumultuous relationship, and it will play into a later book in this series. This is a series that you can read book 1 on its own. You get a very satisfying HEA at the end of the book. You know that Callie and Teague are forever, but there's still this war brewing. There are all these other people still in play. And Teague has this relationship with the feds on the down low. And his connection is to Finch. And I imagine Finch to be like the grungy, tired, haggard Fed that's a little scruffy, that,
he wears like a tweed jacket or something, like
like
trench
coat.
Ill-fitting.
Very film noir kind of detective feel to him, is how I imagine him to be, because Teague calls him several times for help, like, help me get my siblings out, help me get Callie out. We need this war is happening. The Hollerans want to know who killed the heir, and I just need to keep people safe. And Finch is like, yeah, I got it. We'll get to it. But does nothing.
Yeah, I was like, dude, what is going on? That was a surprise. The whole Fed thing to me was like, I had to stop what I was doing. I was like, did I read that right? Because that's not something I've ever read in Mafia. So I liked it. It was intriguing.
Well, it plays in big to another story in the series. So FYI. Let's talk about Teague's siblings, because we do get some bits and snips of who they are throughout this book, even though this is Teague and Kelly's book. Aiden O'Malley is the heir apparent to the O'Malley family. He is a younger version of his father.
Yep.
He's an ass. He is just not a good guy.
Not a fan of his.
No, and he believes in the war. The violence doesn't seem to bother him. When Teague is like, can we do anything to stop this? I'm working, help me. And Aiden's like, no, this was happening. This was always going to happen. And then Kerrigan O'Malley, that is the sister that is just older than Teague.
Yep.
And she is smart.
Yes.
But a wild side.
And super rebellious.
Yes.
Because she knows, like, since Teague has to get married, she's like basically like, I'm next. So I might as well have fun while I can.
Yeah. Then there is Killian O'Malley. He is the brains. He is studying to be an accountant to help continue to fix the books.
Yep. And then I think it goes Devlin, who also in college, very, very smart. The one that will get out of the family.
Yeah. And then Sloan O'Malley is the next sister. And she just wants to have fun. Yep. She's kind of trying to live outside the family name. She doesn't really want a connection to the family. She wants her life to be different, and she is totally pulling away. And then there is Kira O'Malley, and she is the youngest, and we thought Kerrigan was wild. Kira is crazy town wild, and her book, hot damn people. Anyway, okay,
I think
so
there's 6. Okay.
Yeah, that's all the siblings. There's 7 of them total, but there's only 6 books. And we'll talk about why there's only 6 books in our Buzzing After Dark episode, but we'll get to that in a minute. Heather, first, let's ask our questions. Did you like this book?
Yes. And what I really like is I felt like it was a pretty quick read. Like it held me the whole time. I was really interested in it. And then when I finished the book, I immediately got book 2 right on the Kindle, and I downloaded it on audio because I needed it in my life.
It's I do like this book. Like I said, this made me fall in love with the anti-hero, the bad guy. I love this series. I think this might have been the first true mafia series that I had read all those years ago. Heather, who would typically like this book?
If you really like mafia, I think you would like it. If you also are like a crime or thriller kind of book, but you like them spicy, or a darker family, like if you like family and you can handle a darker series, then this would be a good series to pick up.
If you like connected series or a fairly sexy book, this series is for sure for you. Mm-hmm. Heather, would you recommend this book?
Definitely. I haven't read the whole series, like I said. Sometimes I don't like to read the whole series and then come and talk about it because then I'm afraid I'm going to ruin it for someone.
Yeah.
So I haven't read it all, but I've downloaded, which they're from the library. And so honestly, I won't hesitate to recommend this book for a couple of reasons. I really struggle to recommend books that people can't pick up either in Kindle Unlimited or the library. So what I really like about it is that this is in the library, it's in book form, but it's also in audio. So there are some people who really just only like audiobooks, and they're all there.
I totally recommend this series. It is on Hoopla. Just the physical or the ebooks are on Hoopla, but you can find the audios on library. And I agree with you. It is hard sometimes to be like, hey, buy this book. It's $7.99. And it's one book in a series of 6. And I mean, that's an investment. That is some cash that is out there. So, but I'm telling you, if you like a romance that is dark, that is mafia, then this should be on your bucket list. I
definitely agree. So if you can't get it in your library, I think that this book was recently.
It was on sale for $1.99 for the whole month of September.
Yeah, so it was recently on. I mean, it was under $2. I was like, one click back. I mean, Katee Robert also doesn't disappoint. You know what I mean? Like, I think she's an author who for me, I don't ever hesitate to buy one of her books.
No, me neither. Okay, guys, if you want to hear more in-depth thoughts on these parts of the book that are a little sexier, a little darker, join us over on patreon.com/bookcaseandcoffee for Buzzing After Dark. Note, Buzzing After Dark will contain spoilers. So If you're part of our Patreon, click on over to our Patreon page, and we will have a Buzzing After Dark where we're going to go a little more in depth about some of the darkness and the sexy times. So,
Yay.
Until next time, everyone, thank you for joining us for this episode of Buzzing About Romance, and happy reading.
Find us on Instagram at Buzzing About Romance or on Twitter at Buzzing Romance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.